All right. Okay, you guys, welcome to day 2 of Manifest with Certainty. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little uh we're gonna do a little thing, whatever. I'm gonna have you post some stuff in the chat. So get ready, make sure you have your stuff to post. And they're super simple. It won't take very long. But I want to do a little bit of a recap from yesterday for those who are new today. So basically what we talked about yesterday was manifestation is a natural law. It is always happening. 100% of people on this planet are manifesting. 100% of people are manifesting. 78 to 80%, however, are only manifesting through their programmed beliefs. And those of us who came to the planet to actually say, no, I'm going to manifest on purpose. And there's 2 different numbers. So if you ask Dolores Cannon, she says 80%. The number that I first ever heard was 78%. So 78% of people will always just manifest from and I will say, they were talking about states of consciousness when they gave these numbers, and I'm using it for how they play out in manifestation, just so that you know if you hear something else and you're like, that's not exactly what Lori said. I'm taking the information and I'm inserting it into our conversation, right? So 78% of people will always only manifest from their programs and patterns. Then there'll be 17% that decide to, on purpose, choose where their attention is. And then there'll be 6% that actually practice that imagination of what they desire. And then 1% will actually take that final step and activate it in their body so that, guys, and here's the magic, so that manifestation happens naturally. All the other stages along the way, we're manifesting, but we're doing it through our effort. The goal is for manifestation just to be who we are. Now, one of the examples that I love to use is that shifting, growing, maturing, strengthening our mindset and consciousness is exactly the same as how we grow our bodies, right? We used the example yesterday of my grandson walking. But I want you to picture this. You decide that you want to lose weight or gain weight by gaining muscle. And you say, all right, here's the deal. If I'm driving down, and if you're not in this town, then Fairview is just a street. Okay. So you decide when I'm driving down Fairview, and if it's a Tuesday or Thursday, and it's around 3 o'clock and I happen to have an extra hour, I'm going to stop in the gym and work out. How often do you think that you, or how quickly do you think that you'll either lose weight or gain muscle? As opposed to, I'm going to put on my calendar to go to the gym Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock, right? So the difference in how we manifest really is, are you purposing to strengthen your consciousness so that you manifest with ease? Because as we grow, we're changing, we're growing. If, however, we don't own our personal power to choose to begin to give our attention, create in our imagination, and then bring in that sensation, we will always create through default based on our programs and patterns. So today, we're going to talk about some of the pitfalls that we fall into when we are on this journey to shifting our consciousness from someone that life happens to them to someone that life happens as them. Okay, so now I'm going to have you put in the chat. Is it pop or soda? Do you call it pop or do you call it soda? Oh, this is funny. I love it. Is everybody from here? Depends on the day. So if I'm in Idaho, okay, yes, I love, who said that? Melissa, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm like, who said that? Yeah, soda if I'm in Idaho, right? Pop if I'm in Indiana or Michigan, okay? When I was little, I called it pop. My family says pop. Yeah, as a child, pop. Okay. Now, do you know what ube is? And it's just yes or no. Put in the chat. Do you know what ube is? Okay. And now, final question. And I'll say it again. Ube. UBA. Ube. Okay. Now, do you prefer like gem, tater tot, whatever you call a gem or a tater tot, or fries? Do you prefer tater tots, gems, or fries? Okay. If you guys get nothing from this 3 days, I'm going to say it over and over and over and over. If you get nothing else from this 3 days, here's what I want you to take away. There is nothing wrong with you. There never has been, there never will be. There is nothing wrong with you. Just like some of us call Coke or Pepsi a pop or a soda. That's how we've been programmed. It's just how we were programmed. And I love that some people are like, well, as a kid, I called it a pop. Now I call it a soda. What does that mean? Oh, you moved to somewhere different. You got new information and you decided that you would call it soda instead of pop. It's just a program, right? You were programmed that it was a soda or you were programmed that it was a pop. Yes? Now, if you don't know what ube is, guess what? Before 2 days ago, I didn't either. It's a purple sweet potato. It's got a lot of nutrients in it. Now, I'm pretty sure that the purple chip thing that's in that veggie thing that I get at Costco, I'm sure that's an ube. So I probably have eaten an ube, but I didn't know that it was an ube before 2 days ago when I ordered an ube drink. And then the person I was with was like, hey, what's ube? I'm like, I don't know. And so the person at the counter told us what an ube was. It's a purple sweet potato. Now, is there something wrong with you because you didn't know what an ube was? No, just like there was nothing wrong with me when I ordered it, already ate it, and never knew what it was called. Right? If you don't know what you don't know, it's just that you don't know yet. If you've been programmed a certain way, you couldn't choose something different before you knew that you were programmed a certain way. And now let's look at fries or tots. That's just personal preference. That's just personal preference. That's just what you like. So guys, we are a beautiful collaboration of all three of these things: programs, unawareness, and personal preferences. Just like I said yesterday, you came to this planet to do, experience, present love, uniqueness, expression of life in a particular way. You came here on purpose to do something that nobody else on this planet came here to do. And guys, how do you know there's another option like soda if you never moved out of Indiana or Michigan? You'd still be calling it pop. And if you're on this call, you desire more. You desire to own your personal power and figure out what you came to the planet to do, be, have, express. You came to recognize those past patterns so that you can choose, do I want to keep it or do I want to change it? Not your fault that you have it. Guys, guess what? Part of the plan. Part of the plan. It's no problem. As long as we recognize it's just a program. It's not me. It's not me. Just like no matter what your hair color is, no matter what your eye color is, no matter what position you hold in the world, no matter how big your house is, no matter how much money you have on or in your bank account, if you jump off of a roof, you will fall. Just because you have particular programs doesn't mean that's who you are. It just means that you have programs. And when we realize, oh shit, that's not me, that's just my program, now I can do something about it. Nothing's wrong with you. So let's look at if you did the soul play where you got the assessment, your #1 abundance block assessment, and you discovered that your predominant programmed pattern, guys, programmed pattern, it's not you, it's a program, which means, guess what? So there's this new thing, I don't know what it's called, but you buy this thing for like $300 and something, and you get every single streaming program on the planet. Like it's got like 7,000 different channels that you can do. It includes Netflix and Fubo and like Disney, everything that ever streams on a streaming platform or by way of a local network is on this thing. If you turn it on and you don't like what you're seeing on the screen, do you start beating up your TV? Do you take the remote and throw it against the TV? Do you start cursing the remote or the TV? No, what do? You go, click. You just change the channel, right? And when we start to realize, now, I'm not an idiot. I recognize that if you've never been told that these are just your programs and not who you are, my words are going to seem ridiculous. Guess what? The only difference between thinking it's a little bit ridiculous to just be able to change a channel and recognizing, oh shit, all I have to do is change the channel, it's just practice. That's it. That's it. If you've never been exposed to soda and you've always called it pop, you move to Idaho and you call it pop for a while until you're like, oh shit, nobody else calls it pop. Okay, soda. And then you say it every once in a while, you're like, soda. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, can I have a pop? Oh, I mean a soda. Then we practice into a new way of being. And then one day, naturally, I just stop saying pop and I start saying soda. Just practice. It's just a practice. So if right now you're going, Lori, that's so ridiculous. You can't just change the channel when I thought I was this person for so long. I'm not saying it's easy in the beginning. I want you to see the simplicity of it. Because when we start with simplicity, the ease will come. Okay? So as you look at those 4 predominant mindsets, those 4 predominant ways of being programmed. And if you weren't here yesterday and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I will put the link in the chat again at the end for you to be able to do the #1 abundance block assessment. And what it reveals is your predominant mindset lack of value and worth? Is it a poverty mentality? Is it a martyr mentality? Or is it an earning mentality? And then what it shows you is it gives you a little description of how this shows up in your life, and then the predominant emotion that goes along with that particular mentality. So I want you guys to think about when you saw that, what came up for you? What came up for you? Were you like, oh shit, this is so cool that I know where I'm functioning from. This is such good news. Or did you get stuck in the, oh, this is what's wrong with me and this is what I have to fix? Or did you look at it and go, oh, that's absolutely not me. I have no idea how this even happened. This is completely ludicrous. What came up for you? Guys, awareness is the very first start to owning your power and creating on purpose. The awareness of where you're at. Oh, you know what? I'm in Chicago, and I've always been told that Chicago is wrong. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to own that I'm in Chicago. Okay, so the #1 pitfall that we fall into when we are moving through this process of learning how to manifest on purpose is that we don't give enough attention to our subconscious mind and programs. So, without getting into too much detail, I'm going to run through quickly our different places of consciousness. Okay, our head, our brain is our cognitive conscious. It's where we perceive right or wrong. It's where we see things as far as what's appropriate in a kindergarten class and what would be appropriate here, right? I'm not going to walk into a kindergarten class and go, yeah, you guys, are you ready to party? But I'm going to do that here, right? Because you're more mature. The F word maybe isn't as offensive. If it is, sorry about it. And if you want more of this, get used to it because I love that word. Mostly because it makes us aware. Like, okay, that was a little rabbit trail, but okay, then second, our heart is where our subconscious beliefs live. As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. We manifest from our heart. Everything that you are seeing in your life right now is your programs. Then the plan and purpose of why we came to the planet, our superconscious, is in our gut. That's why sometimes when people say, follow your heart. Well, our heart is our programs mixed with who we came to the planet to be. But which one is winning? Right? And this is part of owning our personal power and recognizing that we have personal preference. We came to the planet for something in particular. I didn't come to the planet to be a doctor. I came to the planet to do this. Right? It's not right or wrong to be a doctor or do this. However, if I have a mixture in my subconscious mind, my cognitive head might tell me it's better to be a doctor than to do this. Right? So the goal of manifesting with ease is to line up our cognitive, our subconscious, and our superconscious. But we manifest from the programs of our subconscious mind. And guys, what that assessment revealed is what your subconscious is functioning in. And so you say, no wonder that my cognitive can say I want to make more money, but it's not showing up. Guys, this is why, because you have subconscious programs that if you're not aware of them, so you choose something different, your life will not manifest any differently than what you've been programmed for it to manifest. Yes? And guys, remember that whole glacier? And there's like the 10% is your cognitive mind. 90% is your programs. Let that sink in for a minute, you guys. If we came to the planet to not own our personal power, we will always be functioning from 90% our programmed beliefs. That's just how it is. That's just the law. It's no problem. You, however, came to the planet to say, wait a minute, I want to own my personal power. Guess how I know that? You're fucking here. You're here. You're here, which tells me you want to own your personal power and grow in your ability to manifest on purpose by choice from why you came to the planet. What your specific purpose on this planet is. Yes? Let that sink in for a minute, you guys. Nothing's wrong with you. There never has been, there never will be. And you're on a journey to learning more than you knew before. And guys, if we don't get caught up in the wrongness, this is good news. Because then you get to go, no wonder I've been functioning the way I've functioned. No wonder I've been talking to myself the way I've been talking to myself. And guys, I want you to think about this. So if I'm not manifesting on purpose, there's a lot of chaos going on in my body. And when we've been programmed in chaos, unawareness, right? Chaos feels better than clarity. Okay? So this is the second pitfall that I want you guys to recognize. Is that we've not only been programmed with thoughts and beliefs, but they're enmeshed with how we feel. So when we recognize, oh, chaos feels better than clarity. Why? Because that's what I'm used to. Right? I was doing something in the same room as my mom yesterday, and she had on a like FBI show. And it was one of those where like there was terrorists and the terrorists had control of the airplane and they were trying to gain like the laptop that they needed in order to like regain control of the airplane, but the terrorists were sending the airplane into a nuclear factory, right? So they're like, oh, we're gonna have to shoot down this plane that has 167 people on it. And it's like, we have 19 seconds before the military blows this plane up. Get the laptop, right? And it's like this, and it's like this. And I'm feeling it from the other room, this like anxiousness, right? And then guys, guess what? Just like you expected. At the very last second, they do it, and they save everyone's life. Ah! Guys, we love that. We love that. But do you see how that's fucking with our emotions? Super stressful, excited. So when I have clarity of, man, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna find the title for my podcast. That might seem a little boring compared to the excitement of the chaos of, oh my gosh, it's so scary. Oh my gosh, triumph. Now, we love the triumph. We love the excitement. We love that. But if we're only functioning from that, this is how we go through life. We're feeling the lows, we're feeling the highs, we're feeling the anxiety, right? So recognizing that as you transform from somebody that life happens to them to somebody that life happens as them, there is a transition point where what you want is actually not feeling as good as what you're used to. But when we understand, oh, this is just how it works, now we can navigate through with greater ease. Yes? Now, when we actually sit down to meditate or to utilize our personal power to imagine, and we're like, oh my gosh, this quiet, it's a little crazy right now. Like, why doesn't this feel good? Because your body and your mind is trying to put you back into your comfort zone. Because it's comfortable to be what's normal. Now, our cognitive says, I don't like this. I don't like the chaos. I don't like the anxiety. But our body goes, oh, this is what's normal. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness I've got some chaos to like satisfy my need for the chaos. And guys, when we understand that this is how it works, which is why so many people don't choose to own their personal power and create on purpose. Because the angst of a new way of being doesn't always feel good. And let's go back to the pop and the soda example. If I'm functioning from my cognitive, where I want to belong and be accepted and have everybody like me, and I show up, I'm like, hi guys, I'd love a pop. And my new Idaho surroundings go, ew, what's a pop? All of a sudden, guess what happens in my body? Oh shit, they don't like me. They're not approving of me. Yeah, panic. I don't belong all of a sudden, right? So now I go, okay, how do I make sure that I belong? And then I go, okay, I'm going to start using the word soda. But then you accidentally use the word pop and you're like, dang it. Okay, soda, 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 soda. Right? Because we're looking at what's outside of us to create that belonging, which will then create the alignment in our bodies if we're not recognizing, oh, wait, actually, it's okay to be different because that's my personal preference. Because we could use personal preference back around soda and pop, right? Because when I ask fries or tots, people are like, oh, fries and tots. Why? Because it's all accepted. Fries and tots are all accepted. But if something's not accepted, we try to conform ourselves, right? And this is where understanding that our subconscious is at work trying to fulfill that feeling of normalcy. Yes? Whatever that feeling of normalcy is. So when we go and we transition into something else, it feels less comfortable. And it goes either direction, right? If I'm trying to be more still in my body, it feels uncomfortable it feels uncomfortable because I'm used to the chaos in my nervous system, right? But if I'm trying to belong and I'm aware of the dissonance, now the uncomfortable comes from me feeling like I don't belong, me feeling like there's still some uncomfortable as I move into what I desire. And guys, again, if 78 to 80% of the population functions in that unconscious chaos, the duality of right and wrong from the perspective of better and worse, watch the news for 5 minutes and recognize how that's creating chaos of right and wrong, good and bad. What you're being invited into is the understanding that the right and the wrong and the good and the bad is only in your cognitive. Because from your superconscious, there is no right and wrong, good and bad. There's what did you come to the planet for? And that transition from one consciousness to another is uncomfortable, even if it's what you really desire. So guys, when we realize how consciousness transforms, the thing that used to pull us back, right? Have you guys ever seen heard the analogy about if you're a crab or if there's a bucket of crabs and you're trying to get out of the bucket and the other crabs are pulling you back into the bucket, right? Guys, this is how our body is thinking it's doing us a favor by regulating our thoughts and our emotions. Its desire is, hey, it feels better to be comfortable. Which is why we have to utilize our cognitive to make the conscious choice to say, I'm going to choose something different. And this is why it's so easy for so many people to get pulled back into an old life, an old believing, or an old identity. It's not comfortable to change consciousnesses. It's not comfortable to go from life's happening to me and blaming other people to life is happening for me, life is happening through me, and ultimately life is happening as me. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. But when we look at the fact that if I go to the gym, I know it's going to be uncomfortable. but I see the other side of the uncomfortable physically, right? So do you know how muscles grow? You actually go to the gym or to your house or wherever, but you pick up a weight. And when you do this, when your muscle strains, it actually breaks apart. It pops apart. It's separating your muscle. And then as it recovers, guess what it does? It scars over and reconnects those tissues. And now guess what? The scar tissue makes it bigger. Yeah? This is how we get bigger muscles. It's just scar tissue upon scar tissue upon scar tissue upon scar tissue upon scar tissue. That's the physical. Now, what I'm gonna kind of do a little in your mind is the spirit is the opposite. We are actually desiring to break apart those programs that are what we would perceive as scar tissue, right? When we're little, we get hurt, we build scar tissue. We get hurt, we build scar tissue. Why? To protect ourselves. To protect ourselves. So now when we look at the opposite and we say, okay, if my outside needs to pull apart and separate in order to build, it's the opposite on the inside. I need to start breaking down where I thought I was wrong, where I was afraid to be hurt, where I thought I wasn't powerful enough to navigate a situation. So now we're breaking down those scar tissues internally in order to grow and get stronger. Because one of the crazy things about consciousness is the external and the internal are opposite. And we'll go back to one of the presuppositions of what we teach within the container of empowered abundance. The model is called M-Free. And the presupposition is that we're 100% human and we're 100% spirit. So as an example of the oppositeness of that is our human is physical, our spirit is non-physical. We can see the human parts of us. We can't see the spirit parts of us. We can see the results of it, but we can't see the spirit. So it's seen and unseen. We actually desire limited beliefs in our human. What, Lori? Everything I've ever learned is that I'm supposed to get rid of my limiting beliefs. What if your limiting beliefs actually create an experience for you? So let's just imagine for just a minute, you say, I want to have dinner. Sarah says to her cute husband, babe, let's go to dinner. And he goes, okay, babe, where do you want to go? And Sarah goes, I don't want to have any limiting beliefs. So let's just go eat. And they get in the car and he's like, okay, babe, where am I going? And Sarah goes, no limiting beliefs. Let's just go eat. And he's like, babe, I need to know where to drive to. And Sarah says, no limiting beliefs. I just want to just have no limiting beliefs so that everything is possible. And her cute husband, because he's so patient, he's like, yeah, babe, I get that you really want to not have limiting beliefs, but I need to know what direction you want me to take the car so that we can go eat. Do you see the problem? Right? So our human is limited, our spirit is unlimited. So if we're functioning too much on our spirit side where we want no limiting beliefs, well, then guess what? I don't know where to go eat dinner. There's no experience of, ooh, I really want to have a filet mignon at Chandler's. I came to the planet for a certain experience. I need my limiting beliefs in order to guide me on my path. Now, Do we want to get rid of unhealthy beliefs, unaligned beliefs, beliefs that no longer serve us? Yes, we're moving in our consciousness. We want to go from, oh, I'm only allowed to make $50,000 a year because I'm a woman, to no, I want the belief that I can make whatever I desire to make. And I'm going to start with 100,000. Right? Because if I go, oh, anything is possible, my human goes, wait a minute, we don't know what direction we're going. Yes? So the parameters, the limits are great. And limitless imagination is also great. So again, if we don't understand consciousness and how consciousness works, and recognizing that there are laws in the human and laws in the spirit, and that they're opposite, then we don't understand that in our physical, we're trying to build scar tissue, and in our spiritual, we're trying to break down scar tissue. But once we know that, we're like, oh, well, now I know what's going on in this moment, and I know how to navigate. And now, guess what? I'm owning my personal power as 100% human and all of its laws, and 100% spirit and all of its laws. And now, as I own who I am as the one that lives in the identity of my created design, I can navigate anything. Right? When you first started tying your shoe, was it frustrating? Probably. Is it frustrating now? No. Liz is like, sometimes. But the reason that it was frustrating before was because there was a problem in front of me that I didn't have a solution for in the moment. But what happened? Well, I just practiced. Now I look at a set of shoelaces and it doesn't have power over me. I have power over it. And this is the evolution of consciousness that I'm inviting you into. Right? Is life happening to me? Are there these problems that are happening to me? Or am I owning my personal power, recognizing if I manifest from my patterns and they're just patterns and I'm the one who's powerful, now I can navigate anything in front of me. Yeah? All right. Number 3 pitfall that we fall into. And again, if you are a type A personality, if you are an achiever, if you are a go-getter, sorry, not sorry. Number 3, we have an ingrained belief that we need to, ought to, should do this all by ourselves. We should be the one with all the answers. We should be the one that takes care of everything. We should be the one that knows all the things. Yeah? Guess what this prevents us from? Relationship. Scars. I build up the scars because of where I was hurt, because I thought somebody didn't have my back. Somebody laughed at me. Somebody told me the fact that I said pop instead of soda made me stupid. So I build up all these scars and then I say, I can do it all on my own. I don't need anyone else's help. I know the answer. And usually, guys, we build up those scars. Why? Because we don't want to actually engage where we think something is wrong with us. You see the power of recognizing nothing's wrong with you. They're just patterns. They're just where you don't know. It's just part of why you came to the planet. Now there's no need for the scars that protect us from seeing there's something wrong with us, because we eliminate the wrongness. But those scars cause us to go, I know the answer. I can do this on my own. I don't want anyone to know that I'm weak. I don't want anyone to know that I don't know. I don't want anyone to know that I'm not practiced in that area. Guess what? That's none of you. Guess how I know? Because every single one of you told me you didn't know what ube is. Which means, guess what? You have the capacity to be vulnerable enough to not know something. You have the capacity. And now we practice. Now, there is an aspect of the inside of us help and the outside of us help. Okay? So, if you were to go to a mirror and do this face, what face is that mirror going to give you back? That face, right? If I do in the mirror, that's what it's going to give me back. If I do this, what is the mirror going to give me back? That. And all too often, we're not recognizing the control that we have to read what's going on in the mirror, right? That we have an internal voice that's telling us, hey, that's not for you. Hey, that will reflect outside of you when you make the adjustment inside of you. That's our super conscious, that guidance system that we have that knows why we came to the planet, that's speaking from inside of us. But if our head and our cognitive that is functioning from right and wrong, good and bad, better and worse, says, no, shut up down there. It's better to be a lawyer than a coach. Shut up. It's better to be a doctor than somebody who does network marketing. Shut up down there. Right? There is a voice inside of us that allows us to not have to be alone. And also, there are people outside of us that will help us along believe something before we believe it. Because you guys, a piece of shit can't convince a piece of shit that it's not a piece of shit, because it's functioning from the consciousness of a piece of shit. So it can't offer anything other than piece of shit. Which is why so often, you guys, if we're the crab inside of the can and we're trying to crawl out, it's not other people pulling us back into the can. It's those programmed voices that are pulling us back into the can. And when you have somebody outside of you that says, man, I am going to believe in you and who your future self is becoming before you do. Now, you can get that from a church group. You can get it from a best friend. You can get it from a YouTube video if you're willing to receive it. You can get it from a coach. You can get it from a community. But it must come from outside of you. But here's the rub, you guys, and you guys can handle this because you've been on the journey long enough. Sometimes we need that inside voice. Sometimes we need the outside voice. So when people say you're your own guru, okay, but if you've hit a point in your consciousness where you still think you're a piece of shit, you need a guru outside of you to say, you're more than a piece of shit. Come on, I'll pull you out of the bucket. Right? But do you have an inner voice that says, hey, you can't do it like everyone else on the planet. You have to know what you came to the planet to do, be, and have. Guys, it's both. But see, on the journey of evolution of consciousness, some people will tell you you need somebody to coach you. Some people will tell you be your own coach. And coach somebody outside of you, something inside of you, someone outside of you. Guess what? It's all true. The answer is yes. And now starting to recognize, how do I put those two parts together? How do I grow in my discernment for what's going on inside of me and still be open to the fact that I don't know what I don't know and there's always more, so I'm willing to hear what's outside of me. But guys, if you're going it alone, neither one of those are true for you. Do you get that? Because when we're going it alone, we're relying on our programs, not our intuition. Because our intuition, guess what? Ultimately, isn't us. It's a voice that actually can tell us what our human doesn't know yet. So sometimes you need an outside voice to believe in you before you believe in yourself. And sometimes you need that discerning voice of your intuition that says, no, this is what I came to the planet for. Like, I know in my gut that this is the direction I'm supposed to go. Both. Yes, and. Yes, and. I'll never forget one time I had met Megan McCabe, and I can't remember if that's her new last name or old last name, but I met her a long time ago. And she was saying, yeah, I teach improv to corporations so that they can like grow in their ability to navigate relationships and, you know, do different things. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that. And she goes, well, one of the things we use is yes, and. And she tells me about the improv skill that they practice. And it's yes, and, right? You guys have evolved in your consciousness to recognize it's yes, and. It's yes, and. What do I need right now? Yes, and. What do I need right now? Yes, there's outside voices. Yes, there's my inside voice. What do I need right now? What do I need right now? And guys, this is what we grow in, and this is what we practice. And if nothing's wrong with me, then I'm just practicing along the way. Right? So recognizing these pitfalls and recognizing how it works. Yes, I have these programs, and I would like to see which ones serve me and which ones do not. And I would like to get rid of, shed, release, change the ones that don't serve me anymore. And when I understand that the development of consciousness goes in between the spiritual and the physical, that I'm actually controlled by emotions and thoughts until I become aware and I take hold of it and I utilize my free will to choose the direction that I go. And it's going to be uncomfortable as I do it. And I don't have to do this alone. I don't have to do this alone. I can find friends, I can find groups, I can find books, I can find coaches. I don't have to do this alone. I need somebody to be strong when I'm weak and that I can be strong for when they're weak. This is the ebb and flow. And sometimes that's the same person and sometimes it's not. Right? But we don't have to do this alone. But the fear of our wrongness is what keeps us thinking we have to hide or be perfect. All right. Tomorrow, you guys, tomorrow is like the culmination, right? Yesterday, we looked at how the law works. Today, we looked at how we work the law. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the number one thing that needs to be active in our consciousness in order to manifest with certainty, to manifest on purpose, to manifest by choice. And there's only one thing, and this is what I love about the simplicity, right? Now, this will probably be the hardest thing that you've ever heard or tried to do, right? We'll talk about that tomorrow. But the simplicity of it is what's so cool. The simplicity of it is what's so cool. Because when we come back and we practice on simplicity, the ease will come. Okay? So, what I want you to do today for your challenge soul play is I want you to go back and I want you to look at those questions that you answered that revealed the results of your assessment. And I want you to start playing with those questions and asking, what do I feel? What sensation comes up in my body when I read this line? How can I yes and this? What do I need to eliminate? Do I need to actually have more of this or less of this? Am I finding wrongness with somebody that I think resembles this? I want you to take at least 7 minutes. 7 minutes is a magical number. I want you to take 7 minutes and I just want you to play with that. Just read down the list, see what happens in your body. Because remember, the combination of our thoughts and our sensations land in our heart space, and that's what manifests. So the more aware we can become of the sensation that a thought creates, the more control we have over what we manifest. So play with that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm super excited. And as always, if you guys need anything, please reach out to me. If you don't know how to reach out to me, make a comment on the event and I get to see it. And then I can answer you, assist you, all of the things. So have a wonderful rest of your day and I will see you tomorrow.